Guys, welcome back to the channel. Since the last time you guys were here, I've been busy. I got the engine pulled out of the truck. I got some parts in. We have some rods ready to replace our coilovers until they come in. And in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to go over making the tie rod adapters on this truck. So we have Hymens and a Fox Body Mustang rack here that we need to adapt to. And then we're also going to make the coilover towers for this truck and sort of show you how they are going to integrate into the cage. But before we go much further, I want to show you something that we picked up this week. I drove to New Jersey, got some parts, and I'm going to spill the beans on what we're doing with this truck as far as the transmission. So in this dark room with the truck is our new transmission. For you guys not familiar, this is a BMW 7-speed dual clutch transmission out of the BMW like 2008 to 2013 series E92 M3s. This bad boy here I picked up in New Jersey for 750 bucks and it's got 42,000 miles on it. We are going to install this behind the LT engine that we are building for the truck. So this is a really cool transmission. If you guys can do some research on these, there's all sorts of information out there and they're just starting to catch on, all the adapter kits and stuff needed in order to adapt these to the engines. But this is going to be a sweet transmission. I'm hoping that this is going to take the build to the sort of the next level as far as performance goes. So the whole truck, we're going to do paddle shift. We're gonna have a sequential shift lever on the side, so you can either paddle shift or run the sequential lever. You also can install a clutch pedal with this and override the mechatronics or the transmission controller in this and do clutch dumps, whatever you want with it. So it's a pretty cool setup. The adapter and all the other stuff that we're gonna need to mount this up, I didn't order yet. We're gonna get that on order. But if you guys have any questions, reach out to me in the comments. This is sort of a new swap. It's just catching on, but I think it's gonna be pretty sweet. As far as controlling the transmission, we're gonna use a DKG ECU. It's a standalone controller that replaces the mechatronics unit. And then for the engine, we're going to use a max ECU. So max ECU can control it by itself, but you're sort of stuck with the factory firmware. So I think the DKG ECU is the way to go. Sort of excited about it. I think it's going to be a sweet setup. It's sort of a unique transmission. 7th gear, top gear is a 1-to-1 ratio. So you need to run really tall rear gears. We're going to be running like 285 rear gears. But it's going to be pretty slick having that power handling that this thing can handle, and really good gear ratios, real tight gear ratios. It should be a sweet setup. So this is going to be exciting. More on this coming up in future episodes, but I just wanted to let you know it's here. This is the direction that we're going. I'm thinking, I don't know anybody that's put one of these behind a truck yet. So I think this may be one of the first dual clutch OBS trucks in the world, or I'm pretty sure it's got to be the only dual clutch OBS in the world. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna OBS, or we're gonna dual clutch this OBS, and it should be cool. LS twin turbo or LT twin turbo with dual clutch system. So sweet. Also, if you paid attention in previous videos, you'd notice that this is new. So, or not new, but new to me. My buddy Calvin hooked me up. He wasn't using this lathe anymore. And he gave it to me for basically a song. And we're gonna use this today in order to try to make our first parts off of it. We're gonna take this chrome moly here and we're gonna try to make some tie rod adapters. So just drilling some holes, tapping some stuff. Let's give it a shot and see how everything goes. So that didn't turn out too bad. I didn't have a center to start a hole on it. So what I did is I just got a real stubby drill bit and sort of started the hole. And I drilled it down to about 2.5 inches in here. This is a 4 3/4 inch long piece. What we'll do next is we'll get the other piece up here, chuck it up, do the same thing to that one. Then we'll flip these both over and we'll drill the larger size drill for the 5/8 left-hand thread. And then we'll get to tapping. So there we go, I got both sides threaded. One side is a 9/16-18 right hand thread. This is 5/8 fine thread left hand. So get this threaded in, see how she fits. Let's see, course thread right here. There you go, nice turnbuckle action. See if we got enough thread engagement to get this thing straight. I got the rack centered right now, so we're just sort of ironing it up, make sure we have enough thread depth. So far it's looking good. There we go. That is just slightly toe in, so that's just about perfect. So yeah, there's toe in. And that's toe out. So there seems to be enough adjustment. If there's too much length here, I can always just maybe shave 1/8 of an inch on this side and maybe 1/8 of an inch off this side to get it better. But pretty happy with that. So I just need to get. I'll have to take this over to a buddy's house, have them put some flats on this side because this is a smaller thread, so there's more meat over here to put flats on. So I'll put some flats on there and some lock nuts on the backside, and there you go. There's your tie rod adapter. So I'm gonna thread up the other one off camera and keep on moving. Okay, so I got both sides done, and you can see we got everything set up that we can get nice steering in here. The only thing I need to do yet is when you get to lock, there's a little bit of interference on these sway bar nuts. So I need to get this little bolt here machined down probably about 6 or 7 threads. And we should have plenty of steering. And I checked the Ackerman on both sides and everything looks like it's coming out to the calculation. So pretty good. You'll also notice we can get our full extension. No interference, all the ends fit good. So there you go. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're now going to cut out the pieces that we need to make this upper coilover mount, or front coilover mount. The coilover mount is going to weld right in between the A-arm there and come up and out, and we're gonna leave enough clearance that we can shim the A-arm in and out if we need to. But in order to reduce deflection from side to side, we're going to put sort of a riser on top and add a bolt pattern to that riser. What that'll enable us to do is, if you step back here, the truck where these cross members come in here, this sort of outrigger here, that's about the front of the chassis or the front of the cab. There will be a cage with a dash bar that runs across sort of like a little bit above knee height in the truck. And that will provide a good anchoring point for us to add sort of like a spigot that pops out with a bolt pattern. We will tie that all the way across and into the front here, like up in this section. So you'll have sort of a stiffening portion here that ties everything into the cage. And then what we'll do is we'll add drop bars, tubes, down to the coilover mounts that will stiffen up the coilover mount as well. That will provide rigidity in this direction. And then in order to support it this way, we're gonna add more moment of inertia in this direction by adding a crossbar over top of the engine when we're done. All of that will happen after we build the turbo setups, get the cab mounted, sort of lay out all the components, because we need to be able to check our clearances. So let's get started on that. We're gonna get the plasma cutter started up here and fill it up with water. I have some material out and should be good to go. Okay, so I got two sets of material cut out. You can sort of see the shape here of what's going to be going on. And this will be mounted to the frame in this orientation. And then these tabs here will be sort of above it. And that's where the crossmember support that I mentioned would go on top. But for now, we need to get these bent up. So I need to trace some markings on there, take them over to the bender, get the bends laid out, and we'll go ahead and get that started now. Okay, so the way this works is this piece fits inside of here. It'll be welded up and then sort of close that off. And then this piece here comes around the outside like so. You can kind of get the idea there. So this is all braced inside, and then there's another cap that will come on like so. And obviously this will all fit up nice and squeeze it together, and we'll weld it all up. So this is what we're gonna do next. We're gonna get this all tacked, sort of in position, and then go from there. All right, so we got these all welded up. They look pretty good. Excuse the noise, the welder's running, air conditioning's running, but pretty happy with how everything turned out. I still need to weld the insides up in here. And then what we're gonna do is I cut these tubes out and turn them on the lathe to sort of flatten them out, get them cleaned up a little bit. And these are gonna be welded on like this to these tabs. And then once those tabs are welded on, it'll be welded up onto this top section up here. So that will give us enough clearance so that we don't hit the shock mounting bolts, and it will also give us somewhere to anchor to when we have it installed. We'll be able to anchor the cross member to it. So gonna keep on welding, try to get some of this done, and I'm getting a little tired. I only have an air-cooled torch, and it's slowing me down a good bit. So I actually have it sitting over here in the air conditioning. But I do need to upgrade to a water-cooled torch, especially when you're doing a fair amount of welding like this. It definitely gets toasty. So let everything cool down, weld these up, and we get after it. So there you go. Got the tops welded on there. I have the extra plates in on top. Really happy with how they turned out, welded nice and clean. What I need to do now is I made these little tabs here a little long on top and bottom. I need to shave those down with a cutting wheel and grinder. And then we're gonna go over here to the cab, or not the cab, the chassis, and start laying out where they're gonna be welded on. I don't think I'm gonna have to fully disassemble everything, but I may pop the upper control arms from the spindles here and flip them back, and that'll give me a little extra room to weld. So that's where we're gonna do next. All right guys, so that's everything. We got this coilover upright welded in. These are the plates that we're gonna tie the cage into later, and we'll have that 3-bolt pattern there to sort of tie everything together. Everything welded in nice. I put in the strut bars that I put in the back there as well, and just sort of set the car up so the A-arms are at ride level. And we're coming out to about 14 1/8 inches. So everything side to side is nice and square and trued up. So I'm really happy with how things turned out. So how this is going to work is back here, like I said, we're gonna have that bar coming from the cage. It's going to pass over and connect into where the front cross member or the front rad support basically would be. And then off that, we will have a drop bar coming down, connecting to this point, and then we'll have a crossover bar connecting to the other side. So that whole thing there will be really nice and triangulated, tied in tight, and that's gonna really lower the chassis flex a lot, especially under heavy turning. So this is a very heavy duty looking setup, but it's surprisingly light if you look at the CAD work and do all the density checks and stuff. So we're still saving a significant amount of weight off the front end of this truck with this frame over a factory frame, but this is very robust. So I'm pretty pleased. So if we didn't have the cage tie-in, I'd be concerned about these two upright towers basically flexing inward, but that crossbar going across, once it's all buttoned up, will seal the deal. We won't have to worry about any of that stuff. So yeah, so that's it. So we got that done in this episode, got those coilover mounts made, and we also got these tie rod adapters. I gave you guys a sneak peek in the other bay of the transmission. In the next episode, I'm hoping to have some parts coming in for that. And then we're gonna start working. We need to get the cab onto the truck, and it's gonna start to look like a real project then. So we'll have the cab on and all that kind of stuff going on the truck, laying in some body mounts and getting everything laid out, hopefully in the next episode. So until next time, guys, like and subscribe. I hope you liked the episode this time, what we did, and catch you later.